Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Through the Storm podcast, formerly known as The Other Side of Addiction. We got a really good show for you guys today, but before we start, I just want to say thank you to Dave and Susan Kenny from Emergo Academy. That's Emergo Academy.com. Check these guys out. If you're interested in becoming an international certified crisis and recovery coach, I would highly suggest using these guys as your coaches. One of the many things about Dave and Susan Kenny is they're not one of those coaches that if you have questions or whatever, they're going to charge you. Man, their time is just free. All you got to do is reach out to them and say, "Hey, I got something for you. Can you contact me when you have an opportunity?" And they have always reached back out to me to answer any questions that I may have. And even if you're not interested in becoming a certified crisis and recovery coach, just taking their course really helps you understand how to sit with your emotions, how to look for the message in the mirror. It's helped me a lot. You guys hear this every week. It helped me a lot, especially in 2025 with all the things that I went through. I learned how to sit with my emotions. I learned how to understand them. I learned the lessons behind each one because that's why we changed the title of the show to Through the Storm, because really the storms are not here to stop us. They're here to reveal us. And once we figure that out, man, life is so much better. Not saying that the shit balls still don't get thrown at you, and sometimes they still hit you square in the face. However, you learn how to clean yourself up a lot quicker and a lot better, or more better, as my daughter used to say when she was little.
Yep, more better.
More better. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce you to Olivia Jorgansen and Brooke Shaw. Today, we're going to be talking about taking the stigma out of addiction, building connection and community. Guys, I love this title. And I when I first met you ladies, when I came up to Tour Ignite, which we will talk about in the show as well, you know, sitting down with you two ladies and just hearing your guys' story and seeing how you look at things in recovery. I mean, immediately I was drawn to you guys just because of not really just because of that, but it was a big part of that because I think more of us need to come together because I have found, especially in the last couple years, that we still have stigma in the recovery community, and that's bullshit. I think it needs to change. We all need to come together no matter which way people look at recovery. We need to mesh these gears. Is that how you guys are seeing it?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the 90s and recovery and how it's evolved, and I think when we go way back in time, it's like you thought of alcoholics as, being on the street with a paper bag and a bottle of vodka in their hand, not having a home, not having this. And it was like, you use the words junkies and all of the different terms that we use. And now that we're getting out of that and we're getting, it's 2026 and we're learning more about mental health than we've ever known. And when I go back to when I first tried to get sober and ended up in Day Spring Down and Bountiful and ended up in detox and being just completely mortified, especially being a woman and being a mom and being an alcoholic. And just, I was so mortified. I felt like I let my family down, like I let my home family down. And, everyone was so worried about me. And I never wanted anyone to feel that alone that is trying to recover, that has that 30 seconds of, I'm willing to get sober. I never want someone, I wish that I had someone like me that was open about it and that was posting it on Instagram. Like, yeah, I mean, most people that see me are like, you wait, what? You were a raging alcoholic. You were drinking a bottle and a half, and I mean a big bottle and a half of vodka a day, and you were getting in car wrecks. And yeah, my life was on complete fire. And I think that's, why we also came up with the titles, because that's why we stand behind that Ignite Recovery does, is taking that stigma out of addiction. Is we're just like everyone else.
I
Mm.
think coming into group two, it was very eye-opening because you're in that shame, you're in that guilt, and you have the stigma of like, I'm a loser, I'm a POS, I'm a bad mom, I'm a bad business owner, just like how did I get here? And very quickly it was so relieving to me when I could process that addiction doesn't discriminate. I was sitting in a room full of people who were on the streets, doctors, religious leaders, business owners, really successful, entrepreneurs. And it made me feel so much less ashamed and just made us want to start screaming from our mouth. Like, it's okay to talk about addiction.
Right.
It's okay to talk about recovery. Like, we're all in this room sharing our story, and there's nobody that's different
Right.
sitting next to me. So that's been our thing. Like, addiction does not discriminate. And it takes that pressure off of like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm here.
Right. And I don't have to sit in the closet, and going to an IOP or rehab is not this mortifying thing.
It's
And
like a
it's
safe space.
right. Like,
Yeah.
I get to go here. I get to recover. And that's what we want. It's like, not, I have to go to IOP. It's, I get to go to IOP. I
Amen.
get to recover. Yeah. And I mean, we're such on, when we came into this and we met each other, I feel like since day one, we've been such on the same page of how we want to see recovery, how we want to build this business, how we want people to see Ignite, and just really bring, the awareness around it. And the people that don't understand it, I have a partner that he's seen me in my worst, and he's seen me get out of my worst and create this beautiful life. And he does not understand addiction. And he still is like, I think you could probably drink now and be okay. And I'm like, no, I can't. It's funny that you say that. And it's okay that you say that, because you don't get it. You don't understand the mindset of an addict. And to be able to educate these people that don't understand it, I tell everyone that says, I just don't understand addiction. I said, okay, well, take your phone, put it on the right next to you, put it face down, and every time it rings, every time it beeps, every time it buzzes, you can't look at it.
Hmm.
Even if you reach for it, don't flip it over. And that has been the number one thing, where people will do that for 5 minutes and they're like, oh my God, like, that's what we go through every single day.
Definition of insanity.
Right? It's that constant jab in the ribs.
Right.
It's like, I mean, because I used to watch that with my late wife, right? I could always tell when she was really like white knuckling it. She was doing her damnedest not to want to drink, but you could just start seeing the irritation start coming, you
Yeah.
know? And you'd ask, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm fine." However, you knew that she wasn't, and again, I think like what you said, Olivia, most of us don't understand, because I didn't even understand. I mean, I even battled, a weekend cocaine and alcohol for 8 years. I didn't look at myself as an addict. However, I was, because when the weekend came, I was getting that finger in the ribs too, right? No matter how hard I tried not to call my guy up and hook up with him after work, it never worked. I would tell myself at 11 o'clock or from 5 a.m. to 11, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. And then as soon as it hit 1 o'clock, it's picking up the phone going, hey, where can we meet at 3:30 or at 4 o'clock? It's just that constant jab. And it is a tough thing to deal with.
And you have to always be on it. That's the thing with addiction is, we don't just, for me, I didn't just heal and then all of a sudden move on. I have to constantly, like, if I'm not around people that are in recovery, if I'm not talking to, my sponsees, if I'm not doing things that base my life around recovery, I tend to lose how bad it was really quick. And I have people around me too that they tend to forget how bad it was. And they tell me, you weren't that bad. I'm like, ooh, the 3 wrecks. I took out my neighbor's mailbox one day. I got in 3 wrecks in another day. I was, I couldn't show up for life. What do you mean it wasn't that bad? But as time goes on, I'll have 6 years, September 10th, God willing.
Awesome.
And as time goes on, it's just like, I have to constantly remind myself. And that's, one of the things. I don't believe that there's one way to recover. And we've, talked about this a little bit. And, I do AA meetings every morning, and I take what I need and leave the rest. I think there's so many incredible ways for people to recover, but it's about digging deep. And unless you're ready to dig deep and you're ready to look at those character defects and you're ready to look at your past, which sometimes really sucks, until you're ready to do that, you're not ready to get sober.
Amen. Amen for that. Brooke, how hard was it for you to look at those character defects? Because I would say you don't even really need to be battling addiction to still have that issue about seeing our own issues, right? We're really good at comforting other individuals when they're suffering. Why
Right.
is it so freaking hard for us to comfort ourselves?
Definition of insanity.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because the more I say I'm still just a little baby in recovery, I have 903 days. I check my counter every day, and I there's a meaning behind that number every single day for me. And the more I've started to be open about my sobriety and my journey, it's not so much about my story, which my story is incredible, but it's the journey. It's every day. I'm not recovered. Like I'm a drink away from a drunk. I still battle these character defects. I still battle the shame and the guilt. And that's why it is so important to surround yourself with like-minded people who want your best interests at heart. And because it's so easy to slip back into that negative loop. But once you can get yourself out of that loop, it's magic. It creates magic, even on the hardest days. Um, it's it's pretty incredible. I started my journey back in um 2023, and I was like, I don't have an issue. I'm not an alcoholic. I don't know what you guys are talking about. I just didn't eat enough. I'm just stressed. It was probably from that medication. Like, I don't drink every day. Like, coming into this room, like, this is where I came to recovery myself. So walking into this room the first night, and I'm just like, I'm giving my introduction, and I'm like, I'm Brooke, I'm not an alcoholic. And everybody's like, we've been there too. I'm like, oh, really? Like I don't have an issue. And just give the whole spiel. And it was just so eye-opening every day as you start to uncover all these layers of like, oh, that makes sense. That's probably why I did that, but it took a lot of looking in the mirror for me to face those character defects and start wanting a better life for myself, not because other people wanted it for me, not because of X, Y, and Z. It was because I didn't want to wake up feeling like this anymore. I didn't want to wake up not remembering what I did or what day it was or running away from my life, which I think that was a huge part is I didn't want to change my life. And I had to completely collapse my life. And I know that sounds really scary and intimidating. And I remember hearing people say that. I'm like, you don't understand. I've owned this business for 10 years. I have all this stuff under my belt that I can't just like totally shift the direction of my life. And I'm here to tell you that you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
I think it's that fear, right? I mean, maybe I'm sure you ladies can understand that. It's that fear of that change. Again, I remember with my late wife, it was like, I'm so afraid to stop drinking because I don't know if I could ever go to a concert again, right? Because I mean, same with me, right? I always drank at concerts. I never really got shit-faced or nothing, but I drank at concerts. It's like
What you do?
Right.
right. We take
Yeah,
we take we take something so we can have fun and feel good just so we can feel like shit the next day. We just put all this poison in us on a constant basis, thinking it's going to help us, but then the next day, actually, it feels worse. At least
Right.
I found that out for me, right? Because I remember on weekends, I used to look in the mirror and say, God, please help me. I mean, I'm only doing this 2 days a week. However, I'm doing enough of it that I know it's destroying my life. And, you know, one of you guys mentioned, I think it was Olivia that, well, you did at the beginning, being an addict was probably really the best thing in my life because when I lost a 24-year career because of it, it really opened my eyes to who I was as an individual. And I wasn't the individual that I thought I was. My ego was making me seem like it was. And my ego was way up there, right?
Oh yeah.
Everything that happened in my life wasn't from me. It was because of somebody else or because this happened, never because of me. And I really had a huge eye opener. And that's what changed me to be in the direction since 2009. That's what led me to this. And, my late wife's addiction, that's what got this show going. That's what got me starting to talk, do public speaking. And that's what really started the Healing Utah Success Summit. It's all these blessings, and I know you ladies are seeing it. You guys are seeing the blessings that are coming out of it. I mean, you guys are the 404th show. Not all of them have been addicts on my show. They've talked about, traumas and different types of things like that. But I have yet to hear one person say, since I got sober, my life fucking sucks.
Right?
No one. It's like my life is so amazing right now. I just never realized, to go off of what Brooke was just sharing, I never realized how amazing life could actually be by just making certain changes in our lives.
Right.
One small choice, one positive choice, minute by minute, really stacks.
It
Becomes
does.
magic.
Yeah, it turns into just fire. And it's just that. It's like we always say, just keep your head down and put one foot in front of the other and just do the next right thing. And I think everyone feels like this when they can't drink anymore, or like I got pancreatitis. I mean, I had had a seizure by the pool, been taken by ambulance. I had pancreatitis, was in the hospital for a week on a liquid diet for a month. And then I decided that I needed to do it 5 more times in order to learn my lesson. The doctors had told me, you're going to die. That didn't make sense to me because my dad had drank his whole life and been an alcoholic, and he hasn't had one health problem, nothing. And so I was fine. I was going to be able to just get rid of it. And I thought when the doctor said you can't drink anymore, I remember thinking, I'm never going to have fun again. I'm never going to love the same. I'm never going to be happy. Like when we go on vacation, it's going to be more of this like, oh God, well, I guess I'm just here suffering with my family and everyone's having fun. And here's Olivia. That's really how I thought my life was going to be once I gave up alcohol. Back when I was drinking, I'm like, and I can see now, but I'm like, my life wasn't even fun when I was drinking because I was either too tired to get out of bed and too hungover. I had my son, so I was half-assing being a mom 99.9% of the time. Let's just be honest and say 100% of the time. And all of these things that I thought were so great and so grand in my life and that made me who I was. And then getting sober, getting through those 30, 60, 90 days, falling off that pink cloud, still just whatever you do, stay sober. Whatever you do not drink today. That's all you have to worry about. Just don't drink. And then seeing that first year and then that second year and that third year. And yeah, there was a lot of things that I said, if this happened, I would drink. If I broke up with my fiance, I drink. All of these things happened. I never drank. Because why would I make a situation worse by throwing fuel on it? And that's exactly what it does when I drink in situations that are already bad. It throws jet fuel on that fire.
Yeah.
And just getting through every day, we were talking this morning about this whole Brad Pitt thing and him relapsing and, or not even relapsing, just deciding that he's going to drink again. And how many people that is affected of getting in their minds thinking, well, if he can do it, I can probably do it. And I even admit, I was like, it kind of got in my mind, like, maybe I could have 1 glass of wine. And then I replay the tapes because I've done this long enough. And I know exactly when those thoughts start coming through. I know exactly what to do. I know exactly where to go. I know that I have to be open and honest about the thoughts that are running through my head. Just like I was with Brooke, like, this is what really ran through my head. Because if I don't, that's that old character defects of that sneaky behavior that just creeps right back in. And I will tell you, when I am using, even when I'm not using, I am sneaky. I can be super. Even my son, at 7 years old, he's like, Mom, you're the sneakiest person I've ever met. Yeah, that's not good.
Almost tonight.
Yeah. And just the craziness that it brings and those character defects that you're blinded by because you don't want to see them. And you finally take that lid off and they're exposed. And it's like opening up Pandora's box and you're trying to close the box, but all these character defects are just pouring out and you have to deal with them.
I remember going to my first sober concert and I was so nervous. Yeah. And I remember at the end of the night, I'm like, that was the best night of my life. Like, I remember the whole concert. I didn't have to go buy 5 drinks and pee 5 times. And you know what I mean? Like, we just thoroughly enjoyed it. And I'm like, huh.
And you remembered.
We remember, and then like then going home and having meaningful conversations and waking up the next day, it was just like, oh wow, this is actually kind of nice. And it's interesting the longer, I started getting out and like back in the world. Like I didn't know how to go to the grocery store. I did not know how to function in the light of day. I was so just deep in it. And I remember just as time went on, watching these people at events and concerts, which I don't judge, you do you, girl. But I was like, that looks miserable. They're not watching, they're getting out of their mind, they're getting in arguments, they're wasting all this money, and so it was just like, that's what I looked like. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad. So it can be scary, it can be intimidating, but
It's like being born
once
again.
you rip off that band-aid and you just get some time under your belt and get connected with the right group and the right community and the right people, it's like that's why we're like, we'll hold your hand through every step of the way. I wish that we had each other
my
going
gosh.
through recovery and
We probably wouldn't be sober.
yeah, going through recovery. There was a reason why we didn't know each other prior. Prior.
We'd be dead, yeah.
Yeah, you guys would probably be getting in all kinds of trouble.
Oh yeah, 100%. We'd be in jail or prison or dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Oh, go ahead.
no, you're good.
So what are your guys' thoughts on, some people say that addiction is a disease, and other people say it is not a disease. And I'm still kind of a little bit on a toss up on which one really, because I don't think any of us wake up one day and go, you know what? I'm going to be a heroin addict and I'm going to be the best damn heroin addict there is out there. I'm going to screw up my life. I'm going to lose my family. I'm going to lose my friends. From what I'm really seeing, especially in all the years I've done this show and listening to so many of my guests, and I know at least it was this for me, is I just didn't want to feel things, right? It's so hard for us to sit with our emotions and sit with life. And I think that's more of the disease than really the drug and the alcohol. Because again, we know that that is just the band-aid. You just said that, right? It's the band-aid that we just put over to help mask whatever it is that we're feeling. Like when we're little kids and we scrape our knee or something, it's not really that bad, but we think that a band-aid's going to make us feel better, right? So we ask our mom or dad to put a band-aid over it and we're good to go again. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I think it's learning the proper coping mechanisms and the proper coping skills, but also one, getting to the root of this is why you should never try X, Y, and Z. And I've heard so many stories of, I wish back in high school I didn't take that drink and get that numb feeling because 15 years later, like it didn't affect me at that time. I was still successful, what have you. But when I got to this place in my life where I couldn't handle the stress and everything going on, I remembered that feeling of, oh, this can help. And then that's where the slippery slope kind of falls from. So it's whether it's rooted in your genetics. I have it on both sides of my family. I didn't really know that I had it on both sides of my family. I don't really think it would have changed if I knew the intensity because I am myself, I like to learn things the hard way. And so I think it's kind of a double-edged sword. Like I think it's important to educate why you should never pick up in the first place because it really is a gateway. And then I think it's crucial for people to learn these proper coping mechanisms, whether you're an alcoholic or not, or a drug addict or not, because everybody faces life and life is freaking hard. And if we don't have these proper tools, then what do we turn to? We want to numb ourselves out. So.
Yeah. Yeah, and really, I mean, going off the storm stuff again, I have really come to realize these storms aren't sent to destroy us, they're sent to reveal us. And when I first sat down with you ladies and you started sharing it, I realized very, very quickly that you guys revealed yourselves, who you really are as an individual, right? I mean, I think, I don't know, I could be wrong, but I think that's why our higher power, who I like to call God, that's why he brings these storms to us. It's so we can end up figuring things out. Hopefully we do, to figure out who to become as the person he wanted us to become, or who he made us to become, basically, to say that. Because all the storms I've gone through, man, I've gone back, like what Steve Jobs said, connect the dots backwards of your life, and you'll see you're exactly where you're supposed to be this very moment. And that is so true. I connect those dots backwards constantly. Not saying on
Fascinating.
a
Yeah.
daily basis, but I mean, every once in a while it pops in my head, and I'm going, okay, I got to start going backwards again. Why am I where I'm at right now?
Right.
And I've come to realize I have been being groomed this whole time to get me to where I'm at today. Have you guys seen the same thing? Because I think I remember sitting down with you guys at Ignite, and I think both of you guys said we would have never thought we'd have this recovery place, right? We just want to help people, but your addiction got you there.
We call it our superpower. Not that we want anybody to go down that rabbit hole to get the superpower, but it's truly once you can just look in the mirror, it's such a blessing.
It is, and own your shit. Like so many people, that's why I love addicts in recovery. And I say addicts in recovery because there's a lot of people that get sober and white knuckle it, and they're not the same people that don't work a program compared to people that work a program. But addicts are some of the most amazing humans that I've ever had the pleasure of being around because they've worked so hard to look at themselves and to be open and honest with themselves and to really try. Our character defects just don't go away when we recognize them. But when
Right.
they come up, we're able to kind of keep them at bay. And when we do certain things where those character defects come out, we can say, whoa, 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 what am I doing that thing again? And I need to pull myself back. Why am I doing it? What triggered this emotion? What triggered this reaction? And really look at your life and know we're not anywhere near perfect. And I can be a complete asshole, but I can tell you that now when I'm a complete asshole, I don't just say, well, I was an asshole because they did this and they're the ones that sent me here. No, I can say, good Lord, Olivia, what's the underlying situation? What is pissing you off? Because this person that cut you off, really, you're going to get that pissed off. I can look at myself now, where before it was Olivia's way. Olivia's always right. And if you don't do it Olivia's way, then there's no way. And it's freedom. That's like the best thing I can say is sobriety is the most freedom I have ever felt in my entire life. And getting to know, I had no idea how many insecurities were underlying in this body. I just thought everyone that was on the outside was like, you have insecurities? And it was because I had always put this face on to cover up those insecurities. And now when I get insecure, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm totally insecure. I can be open and honest. And everyone's like,
We can put a name to it. We're like imposter syndrome.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
The more that you tell people, that's what I love too, is the more you tell people about your stories and your situations, the more you build that trust. And even people that are like, you did what? The fact that you're willing to be open and honest about the bullshit that you've done in your life and the chaos that you've stirred up and all of these things, that's where the trust comes in. And that's what I feel like with this business is, we don't want to talk anyone to come into rehab. All we want to do is share our stories of where we were and how we got to where we're at now. And if you can just look at that life and you saw everything that went down from the moment that we were kids to now and the things that we've gotten through, like, that's magic.
We can just help you, yeah. And it just makes you look at the storms differently. Oh my gosh, like I could call my husband a cat with 9 lives and he's on life number freaking 8 right now.
I remember you said that.
Yeah, every time something would pop up, I just would feel so defeated and so clouded. And now I'm just like, this is my higher power growing me, expanding my bandwidth, and having that mentality, even though it's hard as hell. I mean, I I have 900 stories and I don't know how much you want me to share into my stories, but every time these things happen, it was just almost like, okay, I drink. This is how it makes me feel better. And and so it's now doing these storms without having to reach for something to numb myself out. Um, Coming out of it is so much brighter and beautiful.
Right.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like, could you imagine? I mean, I look at the situation of, me and my fiance now separated 3 years ago and just had to really fix and work on some aspects of our relationship. But oh, I just lost my train of thought. What were you saying?
Oh, girl, I hate
know.
that. We get a night brain. That's what we call it. Two blind mice brain. The storm. So
It's just working through the storms when I call them shit balls. Life likes to throw shit balls at us, right? We dodge a few and we get hit square in the face with some. Most of the time, I think we get hit square in the face with it. But I don't know if that's helping you bring the memory back. But if it comes back, just pop back in.
Yeah, I'll hop back in.
Yeah, yeah. So
Thanks.
so to go back to like the title, building the community. I've seen, when we're in our addiction, there's a lot of that stigma, right? We talked about it right at the beginning of the show. A lot of family members, even friends. I mean, I was even one that used to say, "Why can't you just stop? How is it that you just cannot stop?" Right? And you explained it very, very well with the cell phone. However, I really also feel, which I've seen at least the last year, possibly 2 years, that we still have the stigma within our own recovery in the community, the recovery community. And I feel that needs to fricking change because we are more powerful as one coming together, no matter how that person does their recovery, right? It's all about healing. If they're healing in a different way than what you healed, as long as they're getting what they need, what the hell does it matter how the hell that they're doing it, right? And when we can bring all of it together and support one another for it, I think that's when our true power is really going to start coming out to where we can together start changing that stigma, not just within our own community, but also the outside community.
I love that one of our clinical directors, she teaches a lot about harm reduction. Harm reduction. That's where for a better way of life. You don't have to live your life in this rat wheel. There's
no one way to do addiction. There's no one way to do sobriety, not addiction, but there's no one way to do sobriety. And none of us think alike.
Well, and it's interesting because I've had lots of people who they're like, how do you own a rehab? Like 2.5 years ago, you were, relapsed trying to take your own life. And what do you mean like you own a rehab now? And it's kind of like, what do you mean? What do you mean that I own a rehab now? Like I've owned so many businesses for the last 15 years of my life and I've scaled them and sold them and I've just been this entrepreneur. And so I'm like, this is a business that I have so much passion about that I can actually scale and help people with because I've been on this side of an island where I'm supposed to be this successful mom, entrepreneur, business owner, what have you, and I'm freaking hanging on like that last eyelash extension, like not able to see left from right. And it's like, I take so much pride in like sharing, like, yeah, I was down in the ditch. That's why I'm in this seat because you don't have to be that far down in the ditch. And if you are, let me help you.
Yeah. Well, your guys' voices are so powerful, right? And I don't think a lot of people even understand that. Our voices are extremely powerful. I remember I kept my wife's addiction and didn't even talk about my stuff, for a long time. And it was really affecting me. I was holding on to something that I really didn't need to hold on to. Out of what, 7 billion people on earth, I thought I was the only one that was going through what I was going through. And I'm sure many of us feel that way. And I remember a good friend finally invited me out to coffee, and he's like, "All right, man, come clean with me. What the hell's going on with you? Because you're not the same Al that I know." And I'm like, "No, man, there's nothing wrong with me. Everything's great." And he's like, "You're bullshitting me. Come on, come clean." And I finally opened up. As I started opening up, man, people were starting to come out of the woodwork. I mean, people at a grocery store, People that I had networked with for years started pulling me off the side and saying, "Hey, can I talk to you in private?" And would go off into another room or down the hall somewhere. And they're like, "I don't know if you know it, but I used to be a heroin addict." And I'm like, "What? I've known you for 8 years. You got to be shitting me." But it gave permission for people to open up. And you said it earlier, Olivia, about when we can speak out and when we can share. I like to say no one can hold that damn carrot over our heads ever again. Right? Because you've already said everything that needs to be said. No one can go behind your back and go, "Oh, did you guys know Olivia and Brooke, they were both alcoholics and they have a recovery center?" Well, yeah, I already know that because they've said it. Who gives a shit? Look what they're doing. Right? So our voices are so powerful.
I remember being in group and talking about how important it is to share, to talk, share your story. And I'm like, you will catch me never posting about my addiction and anything of that matter. I was one that I was like, I'm just gonna slide under the radar with this one and just quietly redirect my life. And I remember it hit me like a brick wall. I was 309 days sober, and thought popped in my head, you need to post about your recovery right now. Stop what I was doing. And I'm very much like, nobody knows about anything unless you were in my community, and how the gasoline fire spread like wildfire. But I remember just stopping dead in my tracks, posting, "This is vulnerable. I'm 309 days sober. I don't know who this is supposed to help, but I want you to know that there's hope, there's healing," and just said what my higher power told me to say. And from there, it was like lifted up Pandora's box, and I had hundreds of messages.
It's crazy.
Right.
Like when you open it up and the people that you're like, wait, what?
And then it just builds that confidence of like, yeah, I don't actually have to be ashamed. Like, yes, it was scary, and like, still, like, I'll screenshot my days and send them to my parents. And I'm just like, oh, like, because we thought that they didn't know, and we're just all living our best life in our closet. And anyways, it's just interesting because you really don't know the type of people who are struggling. And once we start, yes, using our freaking voice, sharing our story, being vulnerable, somebody's got to do it.
Right. And that's what's amazing about it, is just being open. Like I remember over 5.5 years ago, and I could have never imagined, just like you said, like I was not gonna let anybody know. And when I was getting messages when I was in detox, I was like, no, I don't want anyone to know. And going from that person to the person that, I swear to you that every single person I meet knows my story, because I incorporate it into everything. Even if it's just a, "Hi, I'm getting to know you," somehow me being an addict or an alcoholic will always pop up, because if you're going to know me, you're going to know exactly who I am. And just like you said, there's no secrets. There is not going to be like, "Oh my God, I didn't know Olivia did this." I don't care anymore, because at the end of the day, do I lay my head down at night and have I helped so many people, and do I feel good about myself, and am I living my best life? Am I being honest? Am I keeping my character defects? I mean, all of these things, and I can sleep at night. That's what sobriety is about. It's not about if you did X, Y, and Z, or if you did it this path. If you're not doing it this way, then you're really not sober. I don't buy into that bullshit. I don't buy into that AA bullshit. Even though I love AA, I don't buy into that stuff of, you have to do it this way or you're not going to get the best out of recovery. That's bullshit. We're so different, and everyone needs something a little bit. AA says not to bring in outside sources. Well, guess what? I had to have counseling to get through some of the traumas when I was little that I went through. I had to have counseling for other things that had happened in my teenage years to get through. AA was not going to help that. It was not going to fix and help my past from when I was a little girl, and the things that I saw and the things that I went through. And so I love that you mentioned that, that there's not one way to, and that's what we do here too. It's like all of our therapists are kind of all different. They all kind of bring in a different programming. Nobody's on the same page, which we love when it comes to that, because our clients are like, yeah, this week we had Tara, this week we had Cami, and they were so different. And that's what it's about, right? It's about trying to touch everyone's different side and just
shamelessly doing it.
Right.
I like that. Shamelessly doing it. Yeah. You know, and I don't agree with those labels either, right? I really have a hard time with it, you know, and even those who don't understand addiction, all of us have gone through shit in our life that we're not proud of doing. I don't think there's one person that walks this earth, this whole freaking earth, that hasn't done something that they're definitely not proud of doing, right? We've all made mistakes. Why are we so willing to put the labels on the addicts and keep it there, right? Because all of us would be walking around with all these fucking billboard signs coming out of our head going, you know, here's a label, here's a label, here's a label, here's another label. But, you know, it's different when it becomes, you know, addicts and alcoholics, you know, it just drives me crazy because I've got a ton of labels on me too, but that's not who I am today as an individual. You ladies are not your past either. You guys are who you are today, and you're going to be someone different tomorrow. That's
Right.
the whole purpose of life, right? Is there is no finish line when it comes to bettering ourselves. This is the ongoing thing. You know, I was talking to someone quite a few months ago, and they called me up and they were really proud. I call it the mountains because I love hiking in the mountains, and you know, and they're like, "Hey, I reached the top of this mountain, man. I'm so excited. Man, I was congratulating this person. Great job, man. You know, you worked your ass off to get there and that." And I says, "But I says you got to look behind you though too." And he's like, "What do you mean I got to look behind me?" I says, "Because you just hit the bottom of the next one." You know, because there's always going to be mountains for us to
Right.
climb, but we don't have to continue to keep that label on our head for that first mountain that we climbed. That's done and over with, right? Now we can
Right.
actually move on to the next one. So I think that's another thing as part of the stigma part is we've also got to get rid of these damn labels, you know, and
I love that you talked about that when you came into Ignite and you had talked about that about, you know, label, because after that I went into the AA meeting and I tried, because I've said it for 6 years. I'm an alcoholic. I'm an Olivia alcoholic. And I have been saying I'm Olivia and I'm in long-term recovery.
Mm.
And I love that. I love what you said about that is you're not a freaking alcoholic. You haven't drank in almost 6 years. I loved how you put that. And I just kind of, you know, when I went home that night, I was talking to Dare and he's like, that's what I'm so tired.
Yeah, I driving here just kind of thinking of like, looking back. And I just remember a thought coming to my brain where I'm just like, I'm so grateful. Like the life I lived was so exhausting because I wasn't showing up as myself. I was putting this front on and it was just sucking my energy and doing something that, let me just back up. Showing up as my authentic self day in and day out is so much easier than masking myself day in and day out. And I think bringing it back to what you had said earlier with the labels, I think it's just the deflecting. Like if you don't want to look in the mirror, then what are we going to do? We're going to deflect.
Right.
And so I think once you've been through recovery and kind of understand those character defects, you're like, okay, am I looking in the mirror or am I deflecting? Everything that's happened with our past business partner, I can sit and point and point and point, but I'm like, I got to point back at myself because I shouldn't have let X, Y, and Z slide, and so it's as infuriating as it is, but there's something to be learned from it. Right. So yeah, authentic. Like that's been something, a bold word for me that I just show up as yourself. You don't have to show up perfect, happy, mad, sad. Like we all are normal. We all have things going on that suck, but it's like if you can just remember to show up as your authentic self, you're not going to have any shame. You're not going to have any regret. You're not going to feel like you're being drained
And
because you're
people
being
know
yourself.
who you're getting. They
Right.
know, like my family didn't know when they came home who they were going to get. If they were going to get happy Olivia, or if they were going to get mean mom, or if they were going to get funny mom. Like they had no idea constantly. And to be able to just be, like you said, authentically myself, because that never changes. No matter if you see me in church or Costco or at Ignite or wherever, you're going to see the exact same person all those places.
Yep.
And
it's empowering.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
it is amazing to
Yeah.
be able, And the work that I've had to do to get to this point of how much that I actually look in the mirror now and I'm like, oh, I love that girl who looks
Yep.
fat. Hated looking in the mirror. I did not see that. And it took a lot of writing stuff on my mirror, beautiful and powerful, and all of these different things that I had to constantly see every single day and work on every single day. And to be where I'm at now is such a gift. And also remembering I could lose everything I've worked for with one drink.
A drink away from a drunk.
That is crazy to me, mind-boggling that everything we've worked so hard in our life for can be taken away.
Isn't it crazy how quick that can happen, right? Because we work so hard to get to a certain point or reach a goal, right? All it takes is one wrong choice and it's completely wiped off the slate.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, completely. There's not even any marks there to show that we even did it.
Right.
And of course, people are very, very quick to go, yep, see? Aha, I told you, right? However, you don't get a lot of it when you've reached that point. And I don't know, I don't want to really say a lot of people don't say, hey, great job and congratulations, I'm proud of you, right? But I do also know that there's people sitting in the background just waiting for that mess up so they can prove themselves right. And one thing about being able to look at ourselves in the mirror, which you ladies wouldn't be where you're at today if you couldn't do that. Because how can you help someone else if you haven't been able to look at yourself in the mirror and be authentic and say, I love who I am today? Because now you really have that love and that care to help other people. But as like what Brooke was saying, if you're deflecting away and you're not looking at, you're not being honest with yourself, how can you help people? Because then you're really not helping them at all because you still can't be honest with yourself. And you're
Right.
expecting them to be honest with themselves, right? So showing our true selves, I think, is a great human power of ours.
And you show up for other people's lives as you show up to your own life.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So when I was in addiction and I was not liking myself, if some other one woman or someone had more than me, I didn't like them. I was bitter. I was resentful. And to see this change and to like who I am and to be this person that is so would love to see every woman and step into her power and every man step into his power and just to see those lights go on. This makes sense to me. This makes sense of being an alcoholic because I was meant to be here to help other people, to help them walk through this life easier than I did.
Like you said, like grooming, like you look back and you're like, oh, I couldn't be here if I wasn't there, and there. Walk through the depths of what is it, the shadow of the valley or whatever.
Yeah.
You got to walk through those dark alleyways sometimes and you don't even realize you're in a dark alley.
You don't. And did you like, so when I got sober, I started liking myself and I started noticing like just a ripple effect. Like people really wanted to be around me all the time. Sometimes to the point where I'm like, but you see this ripple effect and it's like, people didn't want to be around me 6 years ago. And now people flock to me. People call me on the daily, wondering my opinion or how I can help them in a relationship or that they drank too much last week and then they don't feel like they have a problem, but what to do, steps to take. I mean, people trust me now. That is a miracle for all the things that I did in addiction and the shitty things and the lies and the deceit and the cheating and all of the stuff to gain that trust back and to be sitting in a business where we're helping people with a business partner that's walked through the same thing as me. Like that is to me, that's God's work.
Oh, yeah.
Just moving pieces on the chessboard. Like, okay, here's Brooke, here she is. They can't be quite yet because they will die. So we'll keep them apart. Going from the
So we're like,
sober.
oh, we've known each other in past lives, that's where I just say like this is absolutely orchestrated by our higher power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very humbling and it's
It is humbling.
yeah.
Like, you want to be humbled, get sober.
But I do love like how you're like these people, I do get into the back of my mind. I'm like, I know I got my haters out there waiting for me to crash out, but it's like
But do you even think about that?
every once in a while
Yeah.
it will pop up in my head because I'm like, oh, I'm sure they're just fans. And I'm like,
They're throwing their bets out, right?
right. And then like when I tell you some of these things, like Olivia said, like if this happened or this happened, I probably would drink. And I never labeled if this happened or this happened, but um back in 2024, I was 90 days sober. I had a relapse down in Mesquite at my son's dirt bike races, and we were in a yucky custody battle with his dad. And I I relapsed. I remember seeing my coin in the back of my car and just remember like there's no going back from here. And so from there I just tried to take my life. I ended up, by the grace of God, my husband had a feeling that something was wrong, called the Mesquite Police Department. They got me out of the back of my car, got me to a hospital, revived me. And from there, that's when I'm like, everything has to change. And I walked through selling all of my businesses, walking away from several friendships, business partners, just completely collapsing everything that I knew wasn't for my best self, my higher self, or my family, for my kids. And I remember that just being like every day the hardest thing I was walking through, because I was meeting with attorneys every day, doing my business severances, and those are my babies. Like I have built these businesses from the freaking ground up, and I never saw myself selling all of this. And so going through these really hard things, going through the custody battle, going through selling these businesses, losing friendships, I never once thought about turning and drinking because I knew it was a matter of life or death. What I didn't anticipate was I have a 13-year-old son with my ex-husband, and he took his life last June. I did not anticipate walking through that. Being being clear-minded was the biggest blessing for me and my son, to be able to walk him through the hell. We're still like, my nervous system is still completely shattered and broken and confused by how everything went down. Why did things go down the way they did? Another big part of my why is, I think there was more mental health and substance abuse behind those closed doors that I knew. And it breaks my heart because I was able to kind of pull myself out of that, and watching my ex-husband not be able to pull himself out of that. And it's almost like that survivor's remorse, because it's like, by the grace of God, I'm alive today. And that's where I'm like, I'll be damned if I don't scream it from my lungs every day, because I've lost too many people to mental health, to substance abuse. And, when he took his life, I remember there was something in me that just broke, and I couldn't see my way out. Like I was having that ideation of like, I can't do this. I can't be here for my son. This is too much. Like I've walked through everything, but I never in a million years having to walk through that, and not picking up a drink. It's by the grace of God that I did not pick up a drink. And every day I'm so grateful that I am where I'm at, to be able to help my son through this. Um, and yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but
That's one of the coolest things though, is being a sober parent and showing up. Like that has been one of the most amazing things. And I love that what you were talking about with your story, that just kind of like dawned on me, is like, isn't it nice to wake up and not just want to die? Because that was my constant. I mean, I was drinking every day. I just wanted to die. Every single day I was coming home from work. My life was not that bad. And I wanted to die every single day. So going from that to this person that's so vibrant in their life and that wakes up. And yeah, there's days that I still have anxiety. There's days that I still get in funks. I don't ever want to die. I'm like, this life is too full. And I see the beauty of that just surrounds me, which I didn't see any of that stuff. It's like I had blinders on the whole time I was just had alcohol running through my veins. Is I couldn't see anything good, anything beautiful about this life. And then you give up alcohol, and all of a sudden it's like what went from this dark gray world with crows falling or flying around went to this beautiful like jungle and light and
even like in
and
the
like
hard seasons, like that's what I mean. Like even like going through something as traumatic as a suicide, like it as hard as that was, it's such a gift to be sober because you can still see through the clouds. You can still see the light at the end of the tunnel. Where before you're like, I can't take it
Right.
on. So yeah, it becomes magic. I don't know how to explain it. I'm like, you gotta put a gun to my head before I would ever take a sip again, because that's what alcohol tells my brain to do.
Yeah.
Is, and it's scary. That's where I'm like, just don't even go down that path.
It's not worth it.
I know that they talk about that, the DARE programs and all the things, like with my son, but I'm like, no, but for real, like just don't even open up that box, because it may not affect you today, but in 10 years, you have no idea how it could change your life.
That's a true fact. So flippin' true. I mean, I've said that when I've shared my story, right? I mean, I didn't try cocaine until after I graduated from high school, and I was working construction and got transferred to Denver, Colorado. I was actually in Windsor, Colorado, doing television cable, and one of my buddies came over. The other guys took off to a bar at Greeley, and he come over and he had some, and John Belushi had just overdosed on that, and I'm like, nope, I don't want anything to do with it. Well, after about 5 or 6 shots of Two Fingers tequila, I'm like, yeah, come on, let's give this stuff a try. And I fell in love with it immediately. And it was just something that was every once in a while, not knowing years down the road in my 40s, it was going to dig its claws in me. And it dug them in freaking deep. And that's why I ended up doing it every weekend for 8 years. 8 freaking years, every single weekend. And we think life is so much better in some ways, but yet we also know that it's not. I mean, gosh, I was up at 198 pounds, and I was always someone that was always into bodybuilding and taking care of himself. And here I am drinking as much as I can for 2 days and snorting as much as I can for 2 days, just so I could have a day off and get myself ready for work again on Monday. And going back and looking at that, I'm just going, my gosh, I am just so grateful that I did go through that, but I'm also grateful that it brought me to who I am today. So grateful. And I don't know if I shared this with you ladies, but I was a guest on a podcast at the beginning of the year. My friend Carrie Lewis, who's out of New Jersey, she had me on her show, and she goes, Al, what brings you joy in your life? And I'm like, oh, gosh, that's a really good question. I've never been asked that question. And then I realized, no, I've been asked that question before. What was my answers? Oh, my grandkids, going hiking, playing golf, being around family. And I couldn't get that out of my mouth. I was going to say the same thing that I always said, but for some reason, it just didn't come out. And I get emotional even talking about it, because we talked a little bit about it throughout the show, but I finally gave her an answer, and I said, for the first time, I can look at myself in the mirror and say, I love you. For the first time in my life, it took 60 something years to get to that point. But again, it's that journey that got me there. And you guys have even said at the beginning of the show is about, you know, enjoying the journey. And especially when we do get sober, enjoying the journey. Even when those shitballs get thrown at us, still enjoy that journey, because there is a lesson there somewhere. We just need to sit with it and figure it out instead of numbing ourselves, because all we're doing is we're extending it. I did this new talk. I spoke out at John Vulcan about a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and I said, I thought I was running from pain. I wasn't. I was extending it. And that's what we do with our addiction, right? We just keep extending it. We just keep pushing ourselves further and further away from where we really are supposed to be.
Right. Even, yeah, with my son too, that teenage that teenage stage, which nobody freaking prepares you for. It's another can of worms in itself, but the more I'm open and talking about recovery, sobriety, drinking, drugs, he is so funny because I'll call him, he won't answer, he's with his friends, and finally he'll get a hold of me and he's like, Mom, what? And I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, well, at least I'm not in the field doing drugs and drinking like you were at my age. And I'm like, you're not wrong. Because I am like openly talking, like it's not something that we just don't do that. Like I'm openly talking to him about, if you open this can of worms, you have no idea what it's going to get you down, And so I'm grateful that we're able to use our voice for not only people who are in addiction, but for these younger generation of like, we can still be cool and no, we don't have to be
Of
on
course.
drugs and alcohol, so because it's like they need good people to look up to and that are not just like that we are having a good time and that we are not normal. We're all a little crazy, but yeah. So thank you so much for inviting us on your podcast, sharing the words that need to be shared. I think you're amazing. You're a godsend.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, you
We've made, I mean, and that's what's so cool. Like, oh, everything that's happened in these last 3 weeks. And there's been so many people that have showed up for us. Like, don't know us, have met us a couple times, and have just showed up and just said, what do you need? Well, let me reach out. I know this person, I know that person. Here, let me help you do it this way. Here, let me get in contact with this. This is what we're gonna do. Don't even worry about it. I mean, the help from the community of people that we really are just getting into and the outreach, there is no other place that I could ever think that I could go to that I would get this same feeling or this same help, other than a bunch of freaking addicts in recovery. People that get it, people that get me, people that get addiction. Like, oh,
it's just like relieving.
It's crazy. It really is so crazy. And I mean, even when I left town, I had friends calling me like, okay, we know Brooke's by herself. She's on the phones. I had a girlfriend. She's like, tell Brooke to call me. I'll do whatever I can. If I need to run to the business, if I need to, look up business license, I'll figure it out and I can help her.
People are awesome.
Like, it's just
because we're showing up with an authentic heart though.
Right.
And you show up genuinely wanting to better your community, better yourself, better your family. It's, in my opinion, God orchestrates the rest,
Yeah, people see that.
So
well, and I'm gonna have to say, you ladies have broke the chain, right? You're talking about your kids. You guys have started a new link, and those links are going to continue to grow, but they're going to be stronger links than the links that you broke, right? By getting sober and always talking about it and using your voice. You guys are starting this whole new chain, putting it together. And I think that is one of the coolest things about the sobriety is we finally do break that chain and we go, okay, look, I'm going to restart this bad boy again. And this one's going to be so freaking strong that it's not ever going to be broken because it will continue to go, right? You guys have both had addiction in your families, whether one side or both sides. You guys are the ones that cut that son of a bitch in half and go, yep, we're starting all over again. So thank you for doing what you guys are doing. And I don't want to leave the show until people know a little bit more about Ignite. So share a little bit more about Ignite, if you would, please.
Absolutely. So we took over Renaissance Ranch in South Ogden in February and started as Ignite Recovery. It is just Brooke and I who own the business now. And we are an intensive outpatient. We are trying to expand. We're going to try to expand with PHP as well. We also do one-on-one counseling and just kind of what we talked about. I mean, we want this to be a safe place for the people that come in that are trusting us in their most vulnerable moments of their life. And our counselors and everyone in here is such a warm and inviting place. And
we gave it a great makeover. We have a snack room.
We've got the best snack room.
Gotta have good snacks. Yeah, we do Monday through Thursday. We do a morning or evening group, and then they do a one-on-one with the clinical director over the weekend to kind of bridge that gap. We're partnered with amazing colleagues if you're needing detox, inpatient, sober living. We just want to hand you off to where you need to be. And if it doesn't fit, Ignite doesn't fit you, then we will find somewhere that fits you because
Yeah.
we just want to see people get the help that they need. We accept most insurance programs.
And that's the one thing that I love about what we do and what we stand behind is we will never turn anyone away.
I love that.
It does not matter if you have insurance, if you cannot pay, we will not turn any person that is willing to get sober away. And just like she said, if our program does not fit you, we are not going to say, yeah, it doesn't work from here, so here are some others. No, because we know how sobriety works. You've got that 30 minutes where you're willing, but you better be walked by the hand or you ain't going to go. And so we literally take our clients and take them by the hand and say, we're going to put you with this person. Here's the contact. They're on the phone. Here we go. You're handed off. There is no nope, sorry, we can't do it.
And we're doing some cool things. We added an app into our program to help mitigate relapses that they work with our clinical director.
It's called Think Work Well.
Yeah. And then we also just partnered with a doctor in-house to kind of help mitigate that white knuckling, and it doesn't have to be painful. It can be very simple, pain-free.
Yeah.
We got you. So yeah, thank you, Al.
Yeah.
How can they get a hold of you? Do you guys have an office number? And if you guys would too, if you have any links or in your number, please email it to me or text it to me so I can make sure I get it in the show notes.
Yeah.
So it's igniterecoverycenter.com. And then you also can call or text 385-222-3737.
Okay.
Yeah.
24 hours.
24 hours.
Yep.
Please
So-
send it to me so I don't screw it up because I have a tendency sometimes to screw one little letter or something. So I want to make sure it's the right one. That way I could just copy paste. It's real simple.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll send it over as soon as we get off.
Okay, ladies, it has been an absolute pleasure. And I just want to say thank you to John Red for connecting us, right? It was John
Yes, we
that
love
actually
John.
brought this connection together. And I'm so grateful for John for doing that, and again, whatever we can do on this side to help you ladies, we hope, I think you're going to be out of town, Olivia, but hopefully we'll see Brooke at the Healing Utah Success Summit, and then let us know how many tickets you guys need. Happy to let your people know. And even if there's some that may not be able to do the $39, just let me know. And, we just want them to come into and be inspired and be just our event, man. People are just running around during our breaks, hugging people and smiling and laughing. And we've got some cool things this year that we've got this new background drop that I just ordered that it's just a really cool picture. I'll have to send it to you guys, but we're going to have,
I am so FOMO, so
I can't
bad.
believe you're leaving.
we're going to have Sharpies there so people can write positive things on this backdrop. It was something that we came up with this year, but yeah, again, thank you ladies so much for taking time out of your afternoon, especially on a Friday, to be on the show. Really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Al.
Absolutely. Well, guys, there goes another episode. Hey, before we go, I just want to say thank you to Dave and Susan Kenny again from Emergo Academy. Love you guys and appreciate you guys. You guys are freaking amazing. And I'm so grateful that God brought us together and you guys are my coaches. You guys have helped my life so much. And I know you're helping so many other people. Also want to say thank you to all our past guests and our future guests. Thank you for your time and your interest to want to be able to use your voice, share your voice to help make a difference in the world, no matter what that difference may be, because it's all in a positive way. And I also want to say thank you to our listeners. You guys are the ones that's keeping this show going. Gosh, we're halfway through 5.5 years. We're coming up on 6 here pretty soon in March, which is going to be crazy. I would have never thought I'd be doing this show this long. However, I don't see myself stopping yet. I still enjoy it because this is my therapy. I get to sit down with beautiful ladies and beautiful, just individuals and great guys and hear stories and help educate me as well. And mark your calendars, guys, for October 3rd. It's a Saturday at the Miller Free Enterprise Building in Sandy, Olivia's going to miss it because she's going to be out of town, if I remember right, for her birthday.
40th. Drop the
Man,
mic.
Oh,
I know, right? Uh, if you could just get a cardboard thing of you, and we'll just set it by the table.
oh, I got you, girl.
There we go.
Write a sticky
But
note down for that.
so yeah, mark your calendars, guys. October 3rd, Miller Free Enterprise Building. You'll find a lot of information on my Facebook, Al Richards, or Through the Storm, which still kind of shows the other side of addiction, but I'm working on. We're gonna leave you with this, guys. Remember, the storm isn't here to stop you. It's here to reveal you. Don't run from it. Walk through it. Because on the other side isn't just survival, it's the person you were always meant to become. Until next time, keep walking through the storm.